passengers flown per million flights operated has been going down. So that's how it is done. So today, for me, as a former Air Indian, I feel very sad, dejected, traumatic, that look, this is what happened. Because otherwise, Air India had a good record, but today it has happened. But as I said earlier, I'm not going to speculate the reason, but certainly wait for the outcome of the investigation to find why it happened.
Lunch hour turned into a nightmare at Ahmedabad's BJ Medical College hostel as the Air India flight bound for London plunged from the sky and crashed directly into the dining hall packed with students and staff. Plates of half-eaten food, steel thalis, toppled glasses scattered across the tables. A haunting snapshot of lives interrupted in just a split second. Smoke and flames engulfed the kitchen and the surrounding quarters. Images from inside the hostel are harrowing to say the least. Rows of dining tables abandoned mid-meal. The mangled fuselage of the aircraft tore through the building, its tail jutting from the upper floors. Eyewitnesses describe a deafening blast as the plane, flying unusually low, slammed into the hostel just minutes after takeoff.
पूरे ही गए होंगे। हमें ये पता चला है कि जो एयर इंडिया की विमान थी जो कि लंदन जा रही थी, वो जो उस विमान का जब क्रैश हुआ तो कई पोर्शंस जो हैं वो बीजे मेडिकल कॉलेज परिसर में गिरा है जो कि गुजरात में है। बीजे मेडिकल कॉलेज के जो स्टूडेंट्स के MBBS स्टूडेंट्स का हॉस्टल था वहाँ पर डैमेज हुआ है और जो सुपर स्पेशलिटी ब्लॉक है जहाँ पे सुपर स्पेशलिस्ट डॉक्टर्स रहते हैं उस रेसिडेंशियल ब्लॉक में डैमेज हुआ है। MBBS स्टूडेंट्स लंच के समय होने के कारण वहाँ पर काफ़ी मौजूद थे और करीब 50 लोगों के घायल होने की खबर हमें आई है।
The medical college located near the crash site was not spared from the flames. Students and their families suffered burns and are in need of care. The crash site, a densely populated residential area, was instantly transformed into a scene of chaos and devastation. Firefighters and rescue teams scrambled through thick smoke and debris, searching desperately for the survivors amid the charred wreckage and twisted steel. Outside, crowds gathered in shock as emergency crews battled flames and pulled the injured from the rubble. Several cars parked nearby were also destroyed in the blaze. We spoke to multiple aviation experts to understand what might have caused the deadly accident, while we're not getting into speculation at all. Let's also tell you what veteran pilot and aviation expert Captain Ehsan Khalid said. With over 4 decades of flying experience, explained what happens in a mayday call scenario. A standard distress signal indicating immediate danger to life or the aircraft itself. And according to him, this means the pilots had clearly detected a serious threat, possibly an engine failure or major mechanical malfunction. Listen in to what he shared with us.
In this case, the mayday has come. That means there is a loss of power. there is, or whatever condition that has existed inside the aircraft that pilots noticed. But it continued to fly with the landing gear down, and thereafter it continued to pitch up towards controlling of the aircraft, and then it goes to hit the ground in almost wings level condition.
And he also pointed out a critical detail from the visuals, saying that the aircraft flew with its landing gear extended for an unusually long time, suggesting that the pilots were responding to a situation that, in fact, another expert, Captain Amit Singh, also offered insights into the visuals that have been doing the rounds on social media, saying that the aircraft seemed to be struggling to ascend, and possibly a sign that the pilot was trying hard to keep it airborne despite something weighing it down. And according to him, this often indicates the wings were not generating sufficient lift. Listen in.
While the captain is desperately trying to keep the aircraft airborne, while there is something which is putting the aircraft down, which means the wings are not generating enough lift. You can see the flaps which are supposed to be extended are not extended.
And he added that there could also be a potential loading error, stating that perhaps the aircraft was carrying more weight than the crew had accounted for. He also raised the possibility that the airspeed indicators may have shown incorrect data, confusing the pilots during a crucial phase of flight. Both experts agreeing that the cause may not be one single failure. Instead, it could be a chain of technical errors or system malfunctioning that possibly led to the plane crashing, according to them. And the investigation at this point is underway, and we are going to be waiting for what the investigation reveals and what the official inputs are. When a flight takes off, one says goodbyes to our near and dear ones. Some of us click selfies perhaps and put them out. All this while the flight crew keeps urging us to switch off the devices. As the plane taxis on the runway, some lips silently move in prayer. With seatbelts tightened, the flight takes off. The exact same thing happened on this Air India flight as well. But in just moments, tragedy struck. Watch the exact moments when the ill-fated last few seconds were captured on a CCTV camera. This was a Boeing 7878 Dreamliner. Boeing has faced repeated safety lapses and mechanical issues over the past several years. Back in 2024, in fact, a catastrophic crash involving the air flight killed 179 people. That tragedy remains under investigation. The aircraft involved was a 15-year-old Boeing jet. Last year, a door panel flew off mid-flight on the Alaska Airlines jet, leaving a large breach in the fuselage. U.S. investigators will be meeting later this month on the incident. In fact, today's crash, it was a 7878 Dreamliner, like we said, a model with a relatively clean crash history. Until now, however, Other recent incidents, in fact, let's just talk about them. In one case this year, a United Airlines flight from Lagos, Nigeria to Virginia experienced violent shaking mid-air, injuring 6 people on board. Since 2018, Boeing has dealt with continuous turbulence. The 737 MAX was grounded worldwide for 20 months after 2 fatal crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia in 2018 and 2019 killed over 340 passengers. The 2 incidents marking the start of Boeing's crisis at that point, and the company has struggled to recover both financially and in terms of credibility and reputation. Since early 2019, Boeing has reported losses in nearly every quarter, with cumulative losses reaching over $39 billion by the beginning of 2025. In a brief statement today, a Boeing spokesperson said the company is aware of the reports and is working to gather more details about the crash. The crash today has triggered an outpouring of grief and support from around the world, with passengers from Canada, UK, Portugal on board besides Indians, and videos of the crash dominating global headlines. Leaders from around the world have reacted in sympathy. In fact, a UK Prime Minister called the visuals devastating. He noted that many British nationals were on board the flight and said that he is being regularly updated. The British Foreign Secretary, meanwhile, echoed those sentiments, saying that the UK was working closely with the Indian authorities. Lammy told the British Parliament that crisis response teams had been activated in New Delhi and London. King Charles said he and Queen Camilla were desperately shocked by the tragedy. In a statement, the British monarch expressed deep sympathy for the families of victims across nations and paid tributes to the heroic efforts of the emergency responders on the ground. The United States also responded swiftly. The National Transportation Safety Board announced that a team of US investigators is en route to India to assist with the probe. The assistance falls under Annex 13 of the International Civil Aviation Organization, which allows countries like the US to contribute to crash investigations involving their aircraft or citizens. The UK's Air Accidents Investigation Branch has also confirmed it is deploying a multidisciplinary team to support the Indian-led investigation, again in accordance with Annex 13 due to the presence of British nationals. At the Vatican, the Pope sent his heartfelt condolences and prayers for all involved in the recovery efforts. The Holy See also offered divine blessings of healing and peace. The Russian president has sent a formal telegram to Prime Minister Modi expressing deep condolences on the tragic consequences of the crash. Russia's ambassador to India echoed those sentiments, calling it a major catastrophe. The president of Ukraine also offered his condolences to India, calling it a tragic day. In a post on X, he said, Ukraine stands with victims' families across India, the UK, Portugal and Canada, wishing a speedy recovery to the injured. From the aviation community itself, the General Secretary of the British Airline Pilots Association has said, and I'm quoting, "It is vital a full and thorough investigation is now carried out without interference or unhelpful speculation so that future tragedies can be avoided." And our correspondent Laura Westbrook has been tracking the developments from London and telling us how the UK officials are reacting to the tragedy. Listen in.
The flight AI171 that crashed on departure from Ahmedabad airport was due to land in London Gatwick at 18:25, so it's 6:25 p.m. local time. Gatwick is saying that it's closely liaising with Air India. They've set up a reception centre with Air India for relatives who are on board so they can provide information and support. And we know that media are also gathering at Gatwick Airport as well. And tributes they've been pouring in from world leaders, as you've been saying, including from King Charles, and he has said that he is desperately shocked by this crash. He said that our special prayers and deepest possible sympathy is with the families. He also wanted to pay tribute to the heroic efforts of the emergency services. The UK Foreign Office has also arranged for crisis teams in India and the UK, according to the Foreign Secretary David Lammy.
Let's also get to these reactions coming in from the anxious family members of the victims who have gathered, waiting for the updates regarding their loved ones.
एयर में जा रहे थे वो मेरे छोटे भाई अर्जुन सिंह सिंह वासनिया है और उनके घर वाली वो दिव्या बेन और अर्जुन सिंह वासनिया है। वो लोग अपनी बेटी को मिलने के लिए लंदन जा रहे थे और अभी तक मुझे कोई इनका समाचार मिला नहीं। मैं इंतजार कर रहा हूँ।
मेरे नड़न है नॉर्डो है, दोनों है।
वो क्या करने जा रहे थे और क्या
वो उसकी लड़की के पास जा रहे थे।
किस तरह से आपको पता चला और क्या किस तरह?
उसकी बेटी ने मेरे को कॉल किया कि मेरी मम्मी पापा आ रहे हैं। मेरे को भी मालूम नहीं था, सरप्राइज थी ना इसलिए।
मेरी बहन बनेवी मेरा सिस्टर दोनों है अंदर और हमको जाने नहीं दे रहे, सारे रास्ते ब्लॉक कर दिए हमारे इधर से।
नहीं वो लंदन जा रहे थे क्या?
लंदन जा रहे थे वो। मेरी भांजी है, हम लंदन वो वहाँ जा रहे थे। भांजी ने फोन किया मम्मी पापा वो फ्लाइट में है, तो हम इधर नरोड़ा से सीधा दौड़ के इधर आए हैं।
हमारे नेबर की लड़की थी वो।
और पता चला तो किस तरह से आपको लग रहा है कि क्या उसके देखभाल करने?
हाँ अभी पता नहीं, अंदर जाने नहीं दे रहे, तो कुछ अपडेट नहीं आ रही है तो कैसे पता चलेगा?
भावना बहन आपके कौन आ रहे थे और कौन सी फ्लाइट में आ रहे थे और अभी क्या सिचुएशन लग रही है आपको?
हमारी बहन जा रही थी
1 बजे जा रही थी।
1:10 की फ्लाइट थी और जा रही थी लंदन। लंदन जाने से पहले ही क्रैश हो गया प्लेन।
हाँ मेरी साड़ी था वो खम्बिसर थी और लंदन जा रही थी।
हाँ फिर?
हाँ बस वो 1 घंटे में समाचार आ गया तो प्लेन क्रैश हो गया है, इसलिए मैं वापस अहमदाबाद से बाहर निकल गया था तो वापस आए सिविल में आ गया।
क्या अभी लग रहा है क्या प्रशासन की तरफ से क्या हेल्प?
अभी देखने भी नहीं मिला, वो अंदर एंट्री नहीं मिली सिविल में, अभी कुछ भी समाचार नहीं मिला है।
And our correspondent from our sister channel is on the ground, and this is what he saw on the ground.
અમદાવાદમાં ખૂબ જ ગંભીર ઘટના બની છે, જેનામાં લંડન જતી અમદાવાદની જે ફ્લાઇટ છે તે અમદાવાદ એરપોર્ટથી ટેક ઓફ કરતાની સાથે જ મેઘાણીનગર વિસ્તારમાં ક્રેશ થઈ છે અને તે બાદ ઘટના સ્થળના જે દ્રશ્યો છે તે આપ જોઈ શકો છો, ખૂબ જ અફરાતફરીનો માહોલ છે અને આ જે જોઈ શકો છો પ્લેનની જે એક વિંગ છે તે રહેણાંક વિસ્તારમાં પડી છે, જે પ્રમાણેનો વિડીયો સામે આવ્યો હતો કે ફ્લાઇટ ટેક ઓફ થઈ તેની ગણતરીની પળોમાં જ તે રહેણાંક વિસ્તારની ઉપર ક્રેશ થઈ ગઈ અને ક્રેશ થતાની સાથે જ તે આગના ગોળામાં ફેરવાઈ ગઈ। એટલે હાલ માહિતી મળી રહી છે કે મહત્તમ લોકોને આ ઘટનામાં જાનહાનિ વેઠવાનો વારો આવ્યો છે। મળતી માહિતી મુજબ 230 મુસાફરો અને 12 ક્રૂ મેમ્બર મળી 242 લોકો આ પ્લેનમાં સવાર હતા, જે પૈકી મહત્તમ લોકોના મોત થયા હોવાની હાલ માહિતી મળી રહી છે। ઘટના સ્થળે આપ જોઈ શકો છો સામેની તરફ જે સરકારી ક્વાર્ટર્સ હતા તેની ઉપર પ્લેન ક્રેશ થયું છે અને હજી પણ ફાયર બ્રિગેડનો અમદાવાદ શહેરનો મોટા ભાગનો જે કાફલો છે સ્થળ ઉપર છે, તમામ પોલીસ અધિકારી બચાવ કાર્યમાં જોડાયેલા છે, જે પ્રમાણેના દ્રશ્યો છે।
And in this tragedy, there is a lone survivor at this point, a passenger who miraculously escaped from the site. More than 240 passengers are feared dead. One man aboard that ill-fated Air India flight managed to escape, and from the footage, it seems he has suffered injuries. The 40-year-old, a British national, is the lone survivor at this point from the London-bound plane that crashed. In fact, this was just moments after it took off. This passenger was seated on 11A. He is being treated for his injuries at a hospital in Ahmedabad. According to reports, he heard a loud noise within 30 seconds of takeoff, and the plane crashed within moments. And we will be keeping a close eye on all those developments trickling in. At this point, we are shifting focus. Russia is relentlessly pounding Ukraine. Kharkiv, in fact, is the most recent to be pounded. Ukraine's northern defenses are crumbling. Russia has transferred heavy weaponry from Crimea and is now threatening Sumy, while US military aid is being cut. And this could be the turning point Ukraine cannot afford. Our next report telling you more.
Russian tanks are rumbling. T-90s, heavy artillery batteries and surface-to-air missile units are pounding Ukrainian defenses. Moscow has reportedly moved a huge number of forces from Crimea, involving dozens of ammunition-laden trucks and frontline personnel. In Ukraine, the frozen front has shattered. Artillery barrages crash into defensive positions, obliterating trenches that held firm for months. Villages north of Sumy have fallen. In Dnipro too, Russian forces are pushing hard. It aims to capture Pokrovsk and the remaining parts of the adjacent Donetsk Oblast. Ukrainian troops are withdrawing under fire, conceding ground as the Russian frontline rolls forward. There is a new headache for Zelensky. Trump's 2026 defense budget proposes slashing military aid, shifting responsibility to European allies, and signaling a withdrawal from backing Ukraine. Critical supplies like radar-tracked missiles and air defense batteries are dwindling, leaving Ukraine exposed amid relentless drone and rocket attacks. Beyond the front lines, Russia continues its relentless air offensive over Kharkiv and other regions. In Ukraine, it's yet another night of intense drone and missile strikes, buildings reduced to rubble, rescuers trying to save the survivors.
Kharkiv is under attack yet again. These were Shahed drones. 12 Shaheds hit 3 Kharkiv districts. Fortunately, one of the Shaheds did not explode. We have serious damage of residential buildings. There was a hit at school and kindergarten courtyards.
Despite the setbacks, Ukrainian forces continue their counterattacks. Kyiv claims that it struck in Rezunit Technopark in Russia's Moscow Oblast. Ukrainian military says the facility assembles circuit boards and electronics for the Russian military-industrial complex. With fresh Russian divisions pressing the offensive and Ukraine's arms store becoming bare, a collapse seems imminent unless immediate action arrives from NATO allies or Europe steps up. For the report, WION The World is One.
Switching gears for now, is West Asia ticking dangerously close to a nuclear face-off? US officials reportedly believe Israel is on the brink of launching military action against Iran, while anticipating potential retaliation from Iran on American sites in neighboring Iraq. In fact, the signs across the region seem to be ominous. There has reportedly been a surge in Israeli military readiness. Missile batteries, especially the Iron Dome, are being rapidly redeployed to shield strategic targets across Israel. One of these batteries has been reportedly positioned near Silvad in the West Bank. Iran seems to be responding in equal measure. Tehran has reportedly stepped up GPS jamming operations near the Iran-Iraq border, in the process disrupting navigation for both civilian and military aircraft. Amid the mounting tensions in the region, the US Central Command Chief has abruptly postponed his Senate testimony, perhaps a sign that key military leaders are laser focused on the real-time developments amid the heightened tensions and given what things are looking like. Before the US Senate yesterday, Kurilla said that he had provided US President Donald Trump and a US Secretary of Defense with a wide set of military options regarding Iran. And then there is a major sign right from the top of the United States power chain. Donald Trump has ordered American personnel to begin withdrawing from parts of West Asia, describing the region as potentially dangerous.
Well, they are being moved out because it could be a dangerous place, and we'll see what happens. But they are being, we've given notice to move out, and we'll see what happens.
The United States has reportedly started partially evacuating its embassy in Iraq, while the U.S. State Department has issued a level 4 do not travel warning for Iraq. And the U.S. has also started withdrawing personnel from Bahrain, Kuwait and the UAE. These developments coming just a day after Iran's defense minister warned that every American base in the region is within its missile range. The United States has multiple bases spread across West Asia in Qatar, Syria, Iraq, Kuwait, Bahrain, the UAE. Remember, Iran has put the US and Israel on notice that any strike on Iranian nuclear sites will spark retaliation against Israeli nuclear infrastructure, as it possesses detailed intelligence on Israel's nuclear assets and will not hesitate to act if provoked. And amid all this, Donald Trump remains firm, drawing a clear red line that Iran must never possess nuclear weapons.
They can't have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to allow that.
The U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is expected to sit down with the Iranian foreign minister for a sixth round of talks in Oman on Sunday. But here's the hard truth at this point. Diplomacy seems to be running on borrowed time. And one miscalculated action could ignite a regional catastrophe. And amid those developments, Iran has carried out a successful test of a ballistic missile armed with a 2-ton warhead, reportedly a major breakthrough in advanced weaponry, as carrying such heavy payloads at hypersonic speeds while maintaining structural integrity is rare and extremely difficult to achieve. But according to Iran's defense minister, the country has managed to do so with its own homegrown technology. The tested warhead can potentially fit onto Iran's medium and long-range ballistic missiles, and it reportedly features a design that reduces radar detection, while thermal shielding reportedly protects it during high-speed atmospheric re-entry. Its maneuverability could further help it dodge interception and strike with greater accuracy. Warheads of this size are built for major impact, capable of destroying heavily fortified targets like underground hangars, military command hubs, hardened runways, radar sites, fuel depots and ammunition storage. The testing of this new weapon further underlines Iran's expanding capabilities. India has developed and successfully tested a new hybrid drone, a major leap for the country's indigenous defense technology. Built for high-endurance missions and precision strikes, it's a powerful new asset for the Indian Army. Developed by Solar Defense and Aerospace Limited, it is a hybrid vertical takeoff and landing drone. It promises high endurance, pinpoint accuracy, and mission flexibility. In fact, during the trial on June 11th, it reportedly flew over 50 kilometers while maintaining a stable, real-time video link and successfully returned to its launch point. Its total range, including loitering time, crossed 170 kilometers with an endurance of about 90 minutes. But perhaps its biggest highlight was the successful airburst detonation of a precision-guided anti-personnel warhead dropped from medium altitude. It detonated just above ground, spreading damage across a wide radius. It met all tactical effectiveness benchmarks. And this breakthrough aligns with India's push for Atmanirbhar Bharat, marks a turning point in the country's quest for cutting-edge, homegrown technology. And this is not the only one. In May, the same company made waves with a hard-kill counter-drone system as well. It is designed to take down rogue drones, especially a swarm of drones using unguided micro-rockets. It was tested successfully in Odisha. It showed that the drone the system can detect and destroy drones up to 2.5 kilometers away, creating a lethal 20-meter blast radius. Built for India's diverse battlefronts, from deserts to altitudes over 5,000 meters, it brings a rugged, low-cost solution to a growing global threat. From long-range hybrid drones to powerful anti-swarm technology, India's homegrown defense capabilities are rapidly evolving in this new age of national security. And from Ukraine to West Asia, tensions are peaking. Iran and Israel locking horns like never before. The NATO chief warning of the threat from Moscow. And Russia declaring its nuclear forces modernized at 95%, pushing global deterrence to the brink in a way. And America showing the readiness of its ICBMs after rolling out new gravity bombs. Our next report taking a closer look at how the world is arming for a new age of confrontation.
The world holds its breath as geopolitical tensions ignite, pushing global stability to the absolute edge. Every nation is arming itself like never before. "2024 ripped through the fabric of peace. A year more conflict-ridden than any since World War II. Now the chilling spectre of nuclear annihilation looms larger than ever, as global powers brandish their weapons of doom. Russia, which is in the middle of a deadly war, makes a chilling declaration that sends tremors across the globe. Vladimir Putin announces that Russia's nuclear triad possesses a staggering 95% of the world's most advanced nuclear weapons.
Certainly, special attention should be paid to the nuclear triad, which has been and remains the guarantor of Russia's sovereignty. It plays the key role in ensuring the balance of power in the world. Today, the share of modern models of weapons in strategic nuclear forces is already 95%. This is a decent figure, the highest one among all the nuclear states in the world.
This isn't just a statement, it's a stark, terrifying reminder of the destructive power held in Moscow's hands, intensifying a dangerous nuclear arms race already spiraling out of control. Across the Atlantic, the Pentagon is flexing too. The US Air Force flaunts its Minuteman III ICBM. 3 weeks ago, it tested the massive nuclear-capable missile. More tests are planned. The US is ramping up the production of B-61 gravity bombs. These are primary thermonuclear gravity bombs in the American arsenal. Apart from Russia and the US, China is believed to have the fastest growing nuclear arsenal among the 7 nuclear-armed states. According to US intel, China is on track to field over 1,000 operational nuclear warheads by 2030. These massive weapons of doom are a chilling reminder that the capacity of global annihilation remains acutely present, constantly pushing the boundaries of an already fractured peace. Bureau Report, WION The World is One.
चाहे पुलिस विभाग हो, भारत सरकार की भी सीएपीएफ को संपर्क कर सभी ने एक साथ मिलकर राहत और बचाव का कार्य चालू किया, मगर 1.25 लाख लीटर ईंधन विमान के अंदर ही था और लगभग गर्मी तापमान इतना ऊंचा हो गया कि किसी को बचाने की मौका ही नहीं मिला। अब मैं घटना स्थान पर भी जाकर आया हूं। सारे यात्रियों के मृतदेह को बाहर निकालने का काम लगभग समाप्त हो चुका है। जितने यात्रियों के परिजन यहाँ पहुँच चुके हैं वो सबका डीएनए लेने की कार्यवाही भी 2-3 घंटों में समाप्त हो जाएगी। विदेश में जिनके परिजन हैं उनको सूचना देने की कार्यवाही समाप्त हो चुकी है और जैसे ही पहुंचते हैं उनके भी डीएनए सैंपल लिए जाएंगे और मृतदेहों की पहचान के लिए जितने मृतदेह मिले हैं इनके भी डीएनए सैंपल लेने की कार्यवाही समाप्त हो चुकी है। गुजरात में ही लगभग 1000 के आसपास डीएनए टेस्ट करने पड़ेंगे। ये सभी टेस्ट करने की क्षमता गुजरात में विकसित है, तो डीएनए टेस्टिंग के लिए कहीं गुजरात के बाहर जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। गुजरात की एफएसएल और नेशनल फॉरेंसिक साइंस यूनिवर्सिटी दोनों मिलकर कम से कम समय में डीएनए का परीक्षण पूरा करने के बाद परिवारजनों को अपना परिजन का मृतदेह सौंपने का काम करेंगे। उनके रहने की सुविधा, उनकी सांत्वना की सुविधा, जिनको मेडिकल प्रॉब्लम ट्रॉमा के कारण हुए इनकी मेडिकल की सुविधा, ये सारी व्यवस्था बहुत सुचारू रूप से हो चुकी है। अभी रिव्यू मीटिंग में सारी व्यवस्थाओं को हम सब मंत्रियों ने साथ में मिलकर देखा है। एविएशन डिपार्टमेंट ने अपनी जांच शुरू कर दी है और जांच तेजी से आगे बढ़े इसके लिए भी एविएशन मंत्री जी ने सूचनाएं दी हैं। मैं फिर से एक बार राहत काम में जिन एजेंसियों ने त्वरा के साथ बचाव और राहत का काम किया वो सभी का धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं और फिर से एक बार जिन्होंने अपने परिजनों को गंवाया है, हताहत हुए हैं, वो सभी को मनपूर्वक संवेदनाएं व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं एक बार ज़रूर कहना चाहता हूं कि ये एक्सीडेंट है, एक्सीडेंट को कोई रोक नहीं सकता, परंतु 365 दिन 24 घंटा इस तरह की घटना के लिए प्रशासन का जो अलर्टनेस है उसकी कसौटी उसी वक्त होती है जब ऐसी घटनाएं होती है। और आज गुजरात के डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट की तैयारियों का एक प्रकार से दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण तरीके से मगर कसौटी हुआ और बहुत त्वरा के साथ यहाँ पर काम किया गया, वो पूरे देश के मीडिया के सामने और परिजनों के सामने भी आया है। अंत में मैं फिर से एक बार सम्माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की ओर से, भारत सरकार और गुजरात सरकार की ओर से सभी हताहत लोगों के परिजनों के प्रति गहरी संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
Home Minister Amit Shah briefing about the efforts on the ground and laying out what happened, talking about how the efforts on the ground have continued and thanking all those involved in those efforts, speaking about how he earlier went to the crash site and talking about the process of the collection of the DNA samples of the bodies as well. He has mentioned how the aviation department has started the probe and spoke also about the need for the probe to be conducted swiftly and how the instruction has been given for the same by the aviation minister, and expressing heartfelt condolences to the families affected, and also stressing on how, while nobody can stop an accident, the alertness of the authorities is tested in such situations, lauding the efforts made by the teams on the ground as far as those efforts are concerned. Absolutely tragic day here in India with that Air India flight crashing moments after taking off earlier this afternoon. We've been apprising you about the efforts that have been made and the information that's been trickling in with each passing minute. And the Home Minister there also once again expressing heartfelt condolences to the families of those who have been impacted as that tragedy struck, and talking about what the day has been like and how the situation on the ground has unfolded since the tragedy struck. As the Home Minister has also mentioned as a part of that statement just moments ago, talking about how the Aviation Department has started the probe, and thanking all those involved in the efforts on the ground, and expressing heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims, the families of those who have, all the affected families, and also laying out what happened and the efforts that have been made on the ground and the process of the collection of the DNA samples of the bodies. And we will, of course, keep monitoring those developments coming in. Shifting focus at the moment. Today, June 12, 2025, marking 24 years since India successfully tested the BrahMos missile for the first time. And since then, this missile has become a key pillar of India's military strength. It has repeatedly demonstrated its effectiveness in operations, including the recent Operation Sindoor. 2 weeks ago, Prime Minister Modi praised the missile's role, stating that its precision strikes rattled Pakistan.
BrahMos मिसाइल ने दुश्मन के घर में घुसकर तबाही मचाई। जहां टारगेट तय किया, वहां धमाके किए। ये ताकत हमें आत्मनिर्भर भारत के संकल्प से मिली है।
Prime Minister Modi's comments came just days after the Pakistan Prime Minister admitted that Pakistani forces were caught off guard. In fact, that is when India had launched BrahMos missiles targeting high-value military sites, remember, including the Rawalpindi airport. BrahMos travels at 3 times the speed of sound and can hit targets as far as 400 kilometers. Built by BrahMos Aerospace, a joint venture between India and Russia, the missile operates with fire and forget technology, locking onto its target without further guidance. It can reportedly cruise at high altitudes of up to 15 kilometers and descend to just 10 meters before striking, making detection and interception extremely difficult. Initially designed with a 290-kilometer range, newer variants reportedly can now exceed 500 kilometers. India is currently producing an extended range version that can strike up to 800 kilometers. The country is also preparing to test a submarine-launched BrahMos and is developing a miniaturized version for aircraft like the Rafale. A hypersonic variant is also in the works. Gold is now officially leading the race against the US dollar, surpassing the euro to become the second largest global reserve asset. According to the European Central Bank, gold accounted for 20% of global official reserves at the end of 2024, overtaking the euro's 16%. The US dollar still leads at 46%, but its dominance is gradually declining. 2024 marked the third straight year of record gold buying by central banks, with over 1,000 tons added annually, double the pace seen in the 2010s. Several key factors, in fact, are driving the surge in gold's reserve status. Rising geopolitical tensions accelerated central bank diversification away from the dollar. According to the ECB, 2/3 of reserve managers hold gold for diversification, while 40% cite protection from geopolitical risks. The shift intensified after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Countries aligned with China and Russia have significantly increased gold holdings since late 2021, reflecting a broader de-dollarization trend. The global central bank gold reserves have climbed to 36,000 tons, approaching the Bretton Woods era peak of 38,000 tons. And central banks now account for over 20% of global gold demand, up from just 10% a decade ago. However, some signs suggest the pace may cool down. Purchases fell 33% in the first quarter of 2025, driven by slower buying from China, still with 80% of reserve managers citing geopolitics as a key influence for the next decade. Gold is expected to retain its strategic importance, even if buying stabilizes at lower levels. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. Thanks very much for watching.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
This week on the West Asia Post, Iran threatens to bomb US bases in West Asia if nuclear talks with Washington fail. Trump orders pulling out US troops from the region as he explores the Iranian target list. Also on the show, Hariri party's back-off threat to dissolve Knesset.
Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radhi Francis, only on WION, World is One.
WION's Business Master Series is an incredible experience. The questions are incredibly thought-provoking, and for me, they force me to introspect about what are the goals, what are the values that really govern the way we want to run our business, the way we want to be as a company, and where we want to be in 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
We're giving an AI-generated video where we can analyze your credit history, your credit score.
It's all about now content. A lot of it is now digital. A lot of TV content is still being watched.
I think it's been a fantastic journey. We have succeeded in some of our original goals, which was to bring credit accessibility to both companies and individuals.
Key milestones of traction under your leadership.
Getting actually a personal check from Mr. Ratan Tata, we got an opportunity to get listed.
One of the biggest things that has changed in Razorpay over last 5-6 years I've been is to be a single product, single business company to a multi-product, multi-business company.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
Welcome back to our continuous coverage of what is happening in the aftermath of that deadly airline crash, where the Air India flight that was on its way from Ahmedabad to London crashed just 32 seconds after taking off from the runway in Ahmedabad. We'll be getting you all of the details. But first, let's take a quick look as to what is making headlines at this hour. Ahmedabad's police chief says that about 204 bodies have been recovered in the aftermath of the Air India plane crash, seconds after its takeoff. The dead included those from the plane crash and also from the buildings into which the plane smashed into. He says that the rescue work is still ongoing. The Indian Home Minister Amit Shah visits the site of the crash, says that the exact number of the dead will be ascertained only after DNA identification of the kin of the victims. The process of DNA collection is currently underway as the Aviation Department begins its investigations.